Like clockwork, the national media churns up this same bogus narrative about Miami Hurricanes football fans every single year. This year, I'm fighting back.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am Alex Donno, University of Miami alumnus, longtime South Florida sports radio vet, and co-host of Locked On ACC. Thank you so much to the everydayers for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We're free wherever you get your podcasts. We're available free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. On this episode, we're going to talk about Miami being named a winner in a winners and losers segment on the transfer portal, and Hurricanes have definitely been a winner in that regard. Miami is a top 3 finalist for a certain 5-star prospect in the class of 2025. Is there another transfer portal move or moves that the Hurricanes still want to make? But first, who started this narrative? Because it's being attributed to Miami fans. And this narrative, I think you know the one I'm talking about, gets attributed to Miami fans every single year. The media is starting to push out the "is Miami back" narrative again. ESPN referred to that phrase as what they called an overreaction, and they're making it sound like Miami fans had been proclaiming this. So yeah, to say Miami is back, that probably would be an overreaction for a team that hasn't done much in a really long time. The problem is, I don't know where the reaction comes from for this overreaction. So ESPN, they like to do their way too early college football rankings, which do come out way too early every spring. Actually, I think they come out in late winter. And so on ESPN.com, they went through all 25 members, and Miami comes in at number 24, all 25 members of their way too early top 25, and they list an overreaction for all of these programs coming out of spring football. And you'll notice something. A lot of their overreactions for various other teams are actually negative reactions that they argue with to spin that program in a positive light. Like, oh, no, it's not so bad. Actually, your team's really good. In Miami's case, they went straight to, with your number 24 Miami Hurricanes, is Miami back? Andrea Adelson writes, okay, we won't finish the sentence, but expectations are building in Miami again after a spring game in which transfer quarterback Cam Ward threw for over 300 yards and looked like he will put himself in contention for preseason ACC Player of the Year. Now, compare that with what they consider to be overreactions for Florida State coming out of spring football. They say overreaction, the offense will take a step back. Like, don't worry, the offense will be fantastic. For Clemson, we'll stick with the ACC on this. The overreaction is the offense is a disaster. You see the theme there? They take negative reactions for other programs to spin it in a positive. For Miami fans, again, they attribute the whole Miami is back thing. ESPN has a nasty but clever habit of putting words in the mouths of Miami fans every single year. Because if Miami doesn't meet that expectation that they created and claim our fans created it, what happens then? They turn on us immediately. And then, of course, you get the rival fans all gassed up. Like, you know what? Florida State fans and Florida fans are reading that. Wait, they're saying Miami is back? Listen to those delusional idiots. Listen to those idiot Miami fans. They're saying that they're back. Well, no, actually, it's not really us that's saying it. Actually, it comes from an ESPN writer who covers Miami, even though they graduated from the University of Florida, according to their LinkedIn bio. And listen, are zero Miami fans saying the Canes are back and the Canes are going to win a championship? No, not zero. I'm sure some people are saying it. Not sane people are saying that. And folks, obviously, we cover Miami very positively on this channel. You know, I'm an alumnus, and I legitimately think what's happening in terms of a program building standpoint, a lot of really good things are happening in Coral Gables, and Miami is working on trying to build a contender. Miami's all-in approach, it's evident and it's appreciated by most of Miami's fans, obviously. 2 great recruiting classes consecutively, successful moves in the transfer portal, including grabbing the top-rated transfer quarterback at the time in Cam Ward, top-rated running back at the time Miami grabbed him in Damien Martinez. But rational, true Miami fans, nobody's saying Miami is back until the Hurricanes actually back it up on the field with results. That's the rational point of view. And I think it's the point of view that most of you who listen to and watch Locked On Canes have, that you can appreciate what Miami is building and what Miami is trying to accomplish, but we're not going to be out there proclaiming parade routes, national championships, anything like that until we actually see how it transpires on the football field. That's the wait and see approach that the real ones have. And the narrative out there, they just want to set Miami up for what they hope is a failure. That's what they're trying to put in our laps, guys. ESPN could have easily, if they're looking for an overreaction from Miami, they could have easily assigned a narrative like, oh, overreaction, Cam Ward is the best quarterback in the country, or overreaction, Damien Martinez is Miami's best running back in 20 years, or Mario Cristobal's coaching has caught up with his recruiting. Something like that would be reasonable. Instead, they went right for the jugular with the Miami is back line. And guys, again, I see my guy G.A. Kane fan in the comments says, lazy media. It's like they came out with these really thoughtful narratives for a bunch of other programs with really specific in the weeds topics. For Miami is, oh yeah, their fans are saying Miami's back. Do we hope Miami's back? Absolutely. Are we proclaiming it? Absolutely not. And, you think about what's coming up for the Hurricanes. We're going to talk about what they still might be looking to address in the transfer portal, because I do not believe Miami is done. They've accomplished a lot of important things at this point. Again, you added a quarterback in Cam Ward, who internally and externally is believed he's going to be a significant upgrade over what you had at the position in recent years. And in fact, Cam Ward is doing so well in Miami since arriving in January, going through spring football, that Miami decided to be even more aggressive in the spring transfer portal to surround him with the best possible teammates, experienced players, to try again, the emphasis on the word try, not proclaiming anything, but to actually put your team in an opportunity to compete for those important goals this year. I thought the addition of Damien Martinez was gigantic, especially since Miami has some uncertainty with injuries at the running back position. We don't know exactly when Mark Fletcher is going to be fully healthy, and I think he's going to be a great running back at the University of Miami coming off that serious foot injury. I don't know for sure if he's going to be fully go week 1. I hope he proves me wrong on that. Again, I don't know any more about his recovery than he does, but adding Damien Martinez, who durability, strength, breakaway speed, power, tackle breaking, true featured back, those things have been on display for him the last couple of years at Oregon State. That was a tremendous move. I still think Miami would like to address a couple of spots on the defensive side of the football before they're done adding transfers. They're at least one roster spot below the limit right now, but grabbing Simeon Barrow at the end of last week, and we covered it here on Locked On Canes, that was a massive, massive move. You're trying to solidify the interior of your defensive line with someone who's proven it on the field for the last couple of years. Honorable mention, all Big Ten selection, one of the best players on the Michigan State football team the last couple of years, Simeon Barrow. You are replacing Leonard Taylor and Branson Dean from last year. You lost Jared Harrison Hunt in the transfer portal and Thomas Gore, so you were getting thin at that position. Miami went out there and got one of the best guys available. Obviously, his teammate Derek Harmon is a phenomenal player who ended up committing to Oregon, but Simeon Barrow was a nice choice there. The Diani Hill edition as well, the Jalen Alderman edition. So we will talk about if Miami's ever going to be back. We'll talk about the types of moves they're going to look to make. Also, we will talk some recruiting a little bit later on, because the Hurricanes are very much in the mix with one of the most important class of 2025 prospects out there. We're live right now, so smash that like button, subscribe. I've been on vacation the last few days, and as much as I love vacations, I hate not being here. And so as soon as I got back in town this afternoon, we got to go live. We got to fire it up. We got to go live on this beautiful Tuesday evening. You want to keep it locked right here. We're not done yet. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. And I'm not done yet with FanDuel. We're winning money during these playoffs. We're having a fantastic time. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and so much more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Thank you so much for making this Tuesday episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. Hey, are you watching ESPN and Fox Sports on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Alex Donno with you here on Locked On Canes. So, yeah, the Hurricanes have made some big transfer portal additions. It's why CBS Sports has named Miami one of the winners in their winners and losers column on the transfer portal. I can still see Miami apparently looking to address defensive back and defensive end. Now, Miami did miss out on one over the weekend. We talked late last week about the Hurricanes going in home with James Madison cornerback D'Angelo Pons. He decided to take his talents elsewhere. And it made sense because his coaching staff had left JMU to go to Indiana. He decided to follow them to the Hoosiers. So I can understand it. Obviously, that's a player that would have addressed an important need for Miami if Miami had landed D'Angelo Pons, who was very productive with James Madison. You could have potentially started him at the nickel or star position and allowed Mish Powell, the transfer from Washington, to start full-time at safety. So you missed out on Pons. I know Miami is also interested in former St. Thomas Aquinas star King Mack. King Mack, who I think was in the class of 2023, just last year, went to Penn State. He played kind of limited with Penn State last season. Obviously, his defensive coach, Manny Diaz, who we know, left Penn State to go to Duke. Mack decided to hit the portal. It seems like Miami's interested there. I'm sure there is some mutual interest. Of course, a local guy, Miami did recruit him. Obviously, I'm not taking any premature victory laps on that one because the Alabama Crimson Tide are also involved. They've had Mack in for a visit. Alabama seems interested there. So that's sort of one that I'm watching. I wonder if more smoke between King Mack and Miami could materialize. Now, as far as trends, I think Miami is in a very good place still with a defensive end, Tyler Barron. Tyler Barron, who was a very productive player with the Tennessee Volunteers, had a career-high 5 sacks last year. Now, Barron, he did leave Tennessee for Louisville in January and decided to get right back in the transfer portal. In April, he is someone who has visited Miami. He's also visited USC. I know there's been some smoke with Ole Miss being involved in his recruitment. Most of the projections, and I agree with this based on the feedback that I've been hearing behind the scenes, Miami is believed to be a trending leader with Tyler Barron, who he can make Miami's edge rotation, which is already pretty darn good. He can make them sick. I mean, Miami made a big addition in the previous transfer portal with Elijah Alston, who had a very good spring. He came in from Marshall. I think Alston is someone who you could definitely pencil in as a possible starter. You've got Ruben Bain, you've got Akeem Mesidor, even some of the freshmen coming in. Cole McConaughey is doing really well. Malik Bryant, who's heading into his second year, he moved positions from linebacker to defensive end. So Miami's rotation is already really good. You can make that rotation very sick if you can add a guy with proven production the last couple of years in the SEC into that rotation. I think in the case of Tyler Barron, he's taken his time making his decision because he can. Folks, sometimes when you're talking about players having to make their decisions on where they're going to commit through the transfer portal, there's a little bit of like game theory, musical chairs that comes into play where it's like, hold on, if I don't commit to this school soon, they might take somebody else, and that's going to take my option away. And I feel like I need to kind of rush into a decision. I think the opposite's happening with Tyler Barron. I think it's a seller's market in his favor, right? When it comes with the scarcity of available, especially top quality available edge rushers, I think Tyler Barron is in a situation where he can sort of sit back and let other schools fight over him and make a decision at his leisure. So I think that's what's going on there, because his visit to Miami, I want to say, was 2 weekends ago. Was it 2.5? Since I just went on a little vacation, all my timetable is like all warped. I don't know what day it is. I don't know what month it is, but I think it was about 2 weeks ago that Barron, I think he was here the same weekend that Damien Martinez was here. So it's been a bit. It's been a minute. I guess it was a week and a half ago when he was here. It's been a little while since Barron visited Miami, and he's made other visits. He's still making up his mind, seemingly, between Miami, who's been the perceived leader here, USC, and Ole Miss. And yeah, guys, when I'm talking about edge rushers, there's other guys that I could mention, by the way. I am definitely not sleeping on Armando Blunt. No question, right? So sometimes the freshmen are not the first names that come out of my mouth because, Armando is an early enrollee, first-year guy. But I'll tell you something. We spoke to Armando on the show a couple of weeks ago. That young man is driven. He is motivated. He's hungry. He's big. He's around 272, 275 pounds right now, he told me. Very physically mature. And I'm seeing some stuff on social media the last couple of days of Armando Blunt, 5-star recruit who's coming in for his first season. He's in the indoor facility. He's sprinting. He's constantly working out. I know, like, we're technically in that sort of period of time where spring football's been over for a couple of weeks. Mandatory workouts haven't started yet. So, if anybody out there is slacking off, I don't think anybody on the Miami roster is doing that. I don't think anybody on Miami's roster is slacking off right now. And that includes some of the true freshmen, because Armando Blunt has been out there working. And listen, he's very young, but who's to say he can't have an impact? Like, who's to say he can't have an impact year one, whether it's on the edge or the interior or both? When we all saw what Ruben Bain did last year, same high school that Armando Blunt came from, right? You're talking defensive line, interior. I also do not sleep on the impact that Justin Scott is going to try to have in his first year. Artavius Jones, who I think is slept on a little bit, right? That guy, they call him the juggernaut for a reason. I think players like that could potentially have an impact their first year. So I'm not sleeping on if I ever neglect to mention someone on the roster, believe me, I'm not sleeping on some of these young guys who are hungry and they're coming for playing time. Okay. So yeah, Miami, there's a couple of bits of recruiting notes that I want to go over. I do want to talk about this though. CBS Sports, they gave Miami some love here. They're not, setting up Miami to fail like some other media outlets are. Like, Miami fans are saying the U is back. Well, are we, or are you saying that? Eh? And also, you guys let me know in the comments. How do you define back? You're a Miami fan. Some of you, maybe depending on how old you are, you've been a Miami fan for 5, 10 years. Some of you 30, 40, 50 years. How would you define back? Because I know how I define it. And I could be like a real stickler and say you're not back until you win another national championship. I think if you're actually like in the national title game, you make a deep run in the college football playoff, you win the ACC, I would be okay saying that's back, but I'm certainly not ready to proclaim that Miami is there. Now, these are goals of mine. I would love to see Miami play in an ACC championship game this year. I would love to see Miami at least sneak into that top 12, but I'm not proclaiming any of that. So the media is shoving these false narratives like Miami fans, they're saying the U is back. They've said it 100 times. They've been wrong for the last 20 years. They love trying to set Miami up because they want all the Gator fans and Seminole fans to say, look at those idiots proclaiming Miami is back. They're so cocky. They're so delusional. A lot of us aren't as delusional as you folks think. I mean, we want to win. We're hungry for it. We want to beat the Gator on August 31st. We want to beat Florida State in October. We want to win some of these rivalry games. We want to compete for a championship, but I think we all have to see it to believe it. I think that's where we're at. But CBS Sports went through their college football transfer portal winners and losers. They gave Miami some love. We will talk about it next, right here on this brand new episode of Locked On Canes. You want to keep it locked. Right after we talk about Monopoly Go. I'm fully hooked on this thing, guys. Whether I'm trolling my friends or playing with my friends, we got to pause to talk more about Monopoly Go. You can team up with friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes. Cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. Hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now free on Google Play or the App Store. It's game on with Monopoly Go. Thank you so much for making this brand new live episode of Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. For the everydayers, if you want to take your everydayer experience to the next level, sign up in the show description below. Click the link, become a Locked On Canes insider. You get text messages directly from my phone to yours. Breaking news, transfer portal, and recruiting scoops, one-on-one questions and answers. Try it free for 14 days. If you like it, you can opt in for $4.99 a month. We give you a lot of added value there on the Locked On Canes insiders chat. So, winners and losers in the transfer portal. I don't know if they put this in any particular order. Maybe they did. CBS Sports actually listed Miami Hurricanes as their first transfer portal winner. Miami added the cycle's number one available running back, Damien Martinez, they said, who is, and yes, at the time Miami added him number one running back. The only transfer running back who ranked higher, who was added winter, was Quinshon Judkins. But in the spring portal, nobody was ranked higher than Damien Martinez. That was a big move. And they say wide receiver Sam Brown was added. That duo adds to what projects as an absolutely loaded offense that will feature the nation's eighth leading passer, I should say, from a year ago in Cam Ward, a 1,000-yard runner, Martinez, a trio of 800-plus yard receivers, Brown, Xavier Restrepo, Jacoby George, and one of the best offensive lines in the ACC. What was already a top 25 Miami offense should take a leap in 2024 due to those transfer additions. Miami also improved on defense, they said, adding one of the cycle's top available defensive tackles, Simeon Barrow, Louisville starting linebacker Jalen Alderman, and one of the top cornerbacks in the G5 with Diani Hill from Marshall. They're still pursuing players like four-star edge transfer Tyler Barron. And yeah, folks, I know that we were supposed to connect with our guy, Bruce Warner, the truth teller, tonight, but I think he might have gone to bed a little early. It's a little older, 6:30. I don't know. I couldn't track him down tonight for whatever reason. You know what? He probably celebrated so hard after Miami landed Simeon Barrow that he was not up to coming on tonight, because that was a massive move. Again, solidifying the interior of your defensive line with a player of that caliber and that experience was a fantastic move. And, you know, still, I would still like to see if Miami can get, because we talked about King Mack a little bit earlier, who obviously I'm not proclaiming anything on him because Bama's interested, along with Miami being interested. I'm sure that there are others, but that seems like the type of player that Miami could look at as a guy who could play safety or nickel and have some flexibility. He's also not that experienced, so I don't know if he's like ready. Yeah, I don't know what would make him necessarily a better option than some of the other second-year guys that Miami currently has on the roster. So he would be maybe a really high upside depth option for now. But I would like to see Miami add another piece to the defensive secondary if they can, because outside of guys who are certain, Daryl Porter Jr., do not worry about him one bit. He's going to have one side of the field on lockdown. Based on what I saw in spring, I'm very high on Mish Powell, the transfer from Washington, whether he plays nickel or safety. I think we're in very good hands there. There are a lot of young, hungry pieces there. I'm hoping and expecting good things from Damari Brown, from Jadis Richard at corner. I'm hoping and expecting for really good things from Jaden Harris at safety, who learned a lot from Cam Kinchins the last couple of years. But there are a few question marks, Miami's depth when it comes to the defensive secondary. I think Miami's in very good shape at linebacker, and I think they're in really good shape now on the defensive line, whether they can add Tyler Barron or not. I look at Tyler Barron as a luxury pickup. There's nothing wrong with that. For a team that's got big goals this year, there's nothing wrong with a luxury pickup. I don't look at that as a necessity. I look at that as more of a luxury pickup. One of the commenters says, I think ESPN is confusing Miami fans with the delusional Florida State fans. Well, I think they're gassing up the Florida State fans is what they're doing, because I've already seen all these comments on social media of Florida State fans like pulling that article and saying, you see, Miami fans are saying the U is back, even though it's not actually Miami fans who are saying that. The media always throws that out there because they want to gas up the Florida State fans. And folks, definitely be like our guy Andy and smash that like button. Smash that like button. Subscribe to Locked On Canes on YouTube. Subscribe to the audio version on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there for you. So recruiting-wise, Miami has made the top 3 for 5-star wide receiver Jaime Ffrench. LSU, Texas are the other 2. Now with Jaime Ffrench, Jacksonville Mandarin, great player. He's been on campus, I think, multiple times at Miami. Just so you guys know, if you didn't actually read the interview with On3, yes, Miami appears to be in his top 3 right now, but he did admit that the Texas Longhorns are the leader. So Texas right now running out in front, but Miami is very much in it for Jaime Ffrench, which is good. I actually, when it comes to, really, really top wide receivers that Miami's been linked to, the guy that I feel the best about is Cortez Mills from Homestead. I think he's going to be a Cane. I could probably drop a Donno ball right now. Very optimistic that Cortez Mills is going to commit to Miami. I also feel somewhat, not Donno ball confident, but somewhat confident in Dallas Wilson. I think he's from the Tampa area. He's been committed to Oregon, but there's been a lot of smoke potentially there about Miami flipping him. I feel pretty good about him. With Jaime Ffrench, I think, Miami obviously being in the mix is great. You've got some ground to pick up compared to the Longhorns right now. I don't know where Miami and LSU stand in relation to one another, but Texas, he has said Texas is the leader there. So that's what we're looking at. And this is cool. This is a defensive player, a 5-star prospect for class of 2025 that we've covered a handful of times here on Locked On Canes. It's going to be a tough guy to get, but Elijah Griffin, Miami continues to be trending pretty strongly for him. Okay. I think Georgia looks like the team to beat there, but Elijah Griffin, 5-star defensive tackle, 290 pounds. I think he's like 6'4", 6'5", 290. Top defensive tackle in the class, number 2 overall graded player in the class of 2025. He's locked in a Miami official visit. Elijah Griffin had a really successful unofficial visit during spring football. He's from Georgia. He's locked in an OV at Miami from June 7th to June 9th. He's also locked in a USC official visit for 2 weeks later. Sounds like Miami probably going to be the first visit. Actually, there is a weekend before that, so Miami may not be. You'd like to either be first or last. Being first or last is usually ideal, so I hope Miami's the first visit. I don't know if they will be. He's also supposedly going to visit Georgia and Clemson, but he's not officially locked in those visits yet. But that's going to happen for Elijah Griffin. So we'll see if Miami can keep trending there. And obviously, if you're like, well, we're not going to get the number 1 defensive lineman in the class. Anyone saying that? I mean, Miami got multiple 5-star defensive linemen last year. You didn't think the Justin Scott thing was going to happen. Miami found a way to get that done. Marquise Lightfoot was a huge get on the edge. Oh, by the way, that's another one. When I talk about players who can rotate on the edge, I mentioned Cole McConaughey. I should have mentioned Marquise Lightfoot, who looked really good in the spring, and he's already put on a good amount of weight. He's added 17 pounds between January and April. He could probably add 17 more by the time the season starts. So I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to make Locked On Canes. I know we were on late tonight because I was on vacation till early afternoon. So as soon as I got back, start doing shows, start writing, start recording. We're here with you live right now. So smash that like button, subscribe to Locked On Canes on YouTube. And if you're listening to the audio version, which is fantastic, because with the audio version, you can take us in the car, you can take us on a jog, take us wherever you go. Make sure to subscribe to our channel. And yes, I love how we got Daryl Porter's grandma listening to us tonight. Thank you so much for the support. Thank everyone so much for making Locked On Canes your first listen and your first watch today. We will be back tomorrow. We'll talk some more transfer portal. We'll talk some more recruiting, and we will talk to you next time on another episode of Locked On Canes, part of the awesome Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.